Pressure Podcast. It's great to be back, Bill.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
Dude, the off season was a long time.
It was.
See, I got to get used to this whole head thing. Like, the people don't know.
You're not used to having a head?
No, I'm not used to having.
Or wait, what were you?
I don't know. I was going to say I'm not used to having headphones on, but even when we recorded just to the podcast, I always had headphones on.
Yeah.
So I don't know why I was going to say that.
Not used to this whole head thing you said.
But listen.
I don't know how to feel.
I don't know what to tell you, Bill. I don't know. It's unedited. We're out on
raw.
a limb. We're out on a limb right now. Whatever we say is in the can.
Yeah.
But what most people don't know, what most people do not know, is that we actually have recorded a few times.
Yeah.
And screwed it all up.
Yep. This is our third time now. This is our third time on this first episode for you guys.
The third take. Count them three.
Take three.
Take three. Because, and it's not that we wanted to leave them unedited or uncut, because we are totally committed to that.
But we swore so much.
It was just so bad.
It's like a Tarantino film.
It's like I gave Bill the green light to say whatever he wants, and all of a sudden he starts dropping F-bombs and like
fiddlesticks.
No, in all reality, we just didn't work the equipment right. And that's why we gave ourselves time.
Didn't have our poop in a group.
No, we didn't. And we're learning here.
That's right. So if we're a little off our game today, folks,
we apologize in advance.
Yeah.
But we're super glad to be back for season 3. I can't believe I can't believe it's season 3, Bill.
I know.
This is season 2 for you. You're coming back for your second season, which I really appreciate.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
It's good to be here. It's the fall.
It is.
Things
it
are
is
changing.
The fall. Yes.
We've had lots of rain. Things are coming in. I'm very excited about this time of year. It's my favorite time of year.
Yeah.
You been out much, Bill?
Not at all.
Why not?
I've been busy.
You've been very busy.
Very busy.
You know, and I'm very happy for you, and you're super busy.
Yeah.
But did you want to talk about anything, or you would rather just like?
Oh, I'm fine.
See, here's the thing. Here's the allure about Wild Bill. I'm going to tell the allure about you.
Go ahead.
Listen, I was sitting next to my son the other day, and he said, "Dad, do people think Bill's funny, and do they like Bill?" And I'm like, "Actually, I get emails all the time, like, man, I love your show, and I'm so glad you added Bill." And he was like really excited about you, Bill.
Yeah.
Me, he didn't care. He's just like whatever. And that's what it is. And you don't have social media.
No, I don't.
This is your only connection to the outside.
I know.
Interwebs.
I got to be careful.
So
I got to be careful. Now you know my face.
See, I don't know if you should share everything, because I think that's part of the allure of Wild Bill is the fact that like you're Wild Bill. Like you can only see Wild Bill at our live events.
That's right.
On here.
That's right. So come to our live events. Or just watch our YouTube channel.
We don't have any live events scheduled right now.
So I guess just watch the YouTube channel.
Watch the YouTube channel and subscribe below. I don't know if it's below or not. We've had this conversation. Up below.
There's no subscribe button. No. Nope.
Well, like I said.
Just root around down there.
Like I said, Bill, you're free to share whatever you want, but I like the allure. I like the...
I kind of like allure as well.
Allure.
A fragrance for men.
Allure.
I like allure.
Allure. Not a fly.
Okay.
No,
just the big news is I'm getting married.
Yes, you are. You are. And I wasn't going to share that. I was going to let you share that.
I won't share like social security numbers, but
just mother's maiden names, birth dates, things like that.
Yeah.
Hometowns.
The basics.
Yeah.
Where we were born. Yeah.
Are you nervous at all?
As the date gets closer, I'm starting to get more and more nervous a little,
Yeah, and you're busy, man.
I am swamped at work.
Busy.
Swamped.
At work?
Why do people say swamped? That's such a weird...
I don't know. That's a very good question.
I am pretty busy.
Maybe because when you're swamped, it's hard to like walk through. Maybe. I don't know, but...
It's all these old phrases like that get me wondering.
You know,
turn a phrase. How do you turn a phrase?
One that's kind of unique is living the life of Riley. He's the life of Riley. He's got the life of Riley, meaning easy life.
Who's Riley?
You know what? I looked it up. Funny you should say that, Bill. I looked up some like movie from like the 20s, some TV show or something. Some guy named Riley had. It was like a Richie Rich type character. But anyway, speaking of things that are personal, we have a couple of new sponsors. We one new sponsor and one return sponsor, Deli Fresh Design.
Yeah.
Super thankful for them.
Yeah.
RNP20 at checkout. You'll get 20% off at checkout, and also so we'll get to that later too.
RNP at checkout.
RNP20. Enter RNP20 at checkout on DeliFreshDesign.com.
Oh.
And you'll get 20% off your order.
What?
20%?
You can't afford not to.
Can't afford not to buy these high quality products. But speaking of getting personal.
Yeah.
We also have another
sponsor
as well.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with them, Bill?
I am now. And now, yeah. I am now.
Our sponsor for this podcast is Manscaped.
Mm-hmm.
Bill, would you like to hold up?
I'll hold the box.
Talk about it, Bill.
This is Manscaped. Manscaped, this is our crowd.
Nice to meet you, Manscaped.
Get acquainted.
And see, what you guys don't see if you're listening to us on
podcast.
The podcast is, Bill's holding up a box,
Mm-hmm.
and I have my shirt off.
Yes.
Not
and
really.
He's rubbing.
What? No.
This
But
is
you don't know.
Manscaped.
Yeah,
Manscaped.
Manscaped. What do you think about Manscaped, Bill?
The Lawn Mower 2.0. It's a rechargeable mower. Up to 60 minutes of
On the 2.0, you get a 60-minute
wow,
charge.
I called it a mower. It's
How
not
long does it take you to trim your nether regions? If it takes you 60 freaking minutes
Yeah.
to shave it, you've waited way too long. Let me tell you
Yes.
this quick story. I had this guy. My son plays soccer. Okay,
on.
and there happened to be a guy on the sidelines who happened to be a bit larger.
Yeah.
Okay, he let himself.
Did it
go.
take him 60 minutes to shave his nether regions?
I don't know, but let me tell you about his nether regions. How do I know about his nether regions? I'm so glad you asked, Bill.
I didn't.
So we're at a kids. I'm at a kids soccer game. Okay, a kids soccer game. Kids everywhere. He lifts up his shirt, a little bit larger, and he had nether region coming out of the top over his belt buckle. I mean, this is more than just a soul patch or whatever they call it. Or what is it called?
Treasure trail?
Treasure trail, rabbit trail, whatever you call it.
I don't know all the lingo.
But I don't. At the end of this trail was
Not a pot of
It
gold.
was a forest of darkness.
Oh.
Okay? And I'm like, dude, take some scissors or something and cut that stuff off.
Wow.
So anyways, one of the things about the lawnmower is that all those accidents are behind you. Okay. So a couple of the talking points that they sent us, I mean, it's kind of funny. You don't want to use the same trimmer on your face as you do on your nether regions, aka balls. That's just nasty. Okay. And Manscaped also has a crop preserver, an anti-chafing ball deodorant, and moisturizer. You already put deodorant on your armpits. Why not put it everywhere else? Of course. Okay. Always use the right tools for the job. Your balls will thank you. Also, it's waterproof. Okay. Now, 20% off and free shipping when you type in remote no pressure at checkout.
You can't afford not to.
Dude, you and your girl will thank you. Okay. And
What else we got for him?
what? So glad you asked, Bill. I feel like I'm on QVC. I think I'm on QVC.
But wait, there's more.
But wait, there's more. Act today. No, but what we have got, and you can also go to remotenopressure.com and check it out. We actually have an awesome picture of Wild Bill wearing our Sasquatch, not allowed to call it a buff, tubular, what do we call it?
Not a flotation device. Sock. Tubular.
Tubular sock and lawnmower.
Oh, this is getting weird.
Okay.
No, this was
is
weird.
A
We're just
Sasquatch.
taking it.
This is it's too late. It's too far, but it's too late. We're out there.
We're
Bill.
weird people.
No, but we actually designed this. It looks like Sasquatch, but it's not allowed to call it a buff. Tubular neck protector, sun protector, bugs.
Wind
not allowed to call it a buff.
Yeah.
Buff.
Yeah,
So
I like it.
And you can go online. You can see some awesome pictures of Wild Bill wearing this, and it looks like Sasquatch. And you put it over the back of your head, and it looks like Sasquatch.
And
it's an awesome thing.
We were talking about this before. This is actually protection from Sasquatch.
That's right. I guarantee.
Yep.
Back to the QVC. If you purchase this item today, no, but in all seriousness, if you purchase this item, we will guarantee that you will not be attacked by a Sasquatch.
Yes.
I'm actually willing to bet $100 that you will not. If you get attacked, you let me know with proof.
Yeah, you got to have video proof. Or a photo, a good photo.
A good photo, not that grainy stuff.
We know Photoshop files when we see it.
And notice that I only say $100.
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't I go for $1 million?
I will personally buy it back from him too.
You
So it's
Bill
like-
will buy it back. I'll give it. But if you notice, I'm like limiting the top just in case.
Yeah.
He
Well,
does.
it could happen. But this, I think, will protect you because if Sasquatch sees you out there, yeah, he's going to see a fisherman or somebody who's a not a buff fan, who's a fan of buffs or not buffs. I don't want to say what
Of
you know.
tubular.
Bigfoot will see that, but he'll also see like, wait, I don't know if that's a person or just what that is. It looks kind of like me
Yeah.
wearing clothes with a rod.
So the first 5 people to buy the Lawnmower 2.0, if you buy one, email us. We're going to give you guys a free, not allowed to call it a buff.
You can't go wrong.
You can't go wrong.
You're getting 20% off and the buff if you're the first 5.
And free shipping.
And free shipping?
Yes.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm going to throw it out there for all of our Deli Fresh Design people too. If you go to Deli Fresh Design and order anything, we're gonna give you a free buff as well.
Wow.
And the first 5 people.
For the first 5 people?
Yeah.
You got to email us and let us know, though.
Email us and let us know. But very excited about all this stuff.
Yeah.
And not every podcast is going to start out like QVC.
Yeah. Or right out of the gate, the first part of the season going into this kind of stuff. So,
We're excited.
We're excited.
Super thanks. And don't forget about the quick stroke technology.
quiet stroke. Quiet stroke.
Quiet stroke.
Yeah, quiet stroke.
Quiet stroke.
You
not
don't
quick
wanna-
stroke.
You don't want to say that.
Yeah, exactly. But anyways, we're very happy that you guys are here. We're excited about season 3. This week, we've got a couple of really awesome guys out of Georgia. What's going on in Georgia?
The devil went down to Georgia.
Yes, he did. He did, but so did Joe and Tony, the guys who are on the podcast this week
Go on.
from Fly Waters. See, we also had Thomas Fountain Music.
Mm-hmm.
I just think something's going on in Georgia with because like we have the Texas thing. Texas fly fishing is like huge, just blowing up.
Yeah.
I think something's going on in Georgia too.
We should go check it out.
We should. But this week we have Fly Waters. We have Joe and Tony here talking to us at Remote No Pressure about what's going on their Instagram page. They submit a lot of content. We thank them for it, but it's more to bring awareness to it rather than to just become influencers. I like that I have a camera because I can do air quotes. Influencers.
Yep. And people know what we're doing instead of just a dramatic pause between words and sounding sarcastic.
Now the problem with the influencers is I'm very easily influenced. I'm like their key demographic.
They're
No,
looking
but-
for you.
But we're very excited to have Joe and Tony here from Fly Waters. Welcome to the podcast. Let's light the fire. Well, today on the Remote No Pressure podcast, I'm very excited to have Joe Hollingshed and Tony Hush on the podcast from Fly Waters. Thank you guys so much for joining us.
Appreciate you having us.
Yes, thank you very much.
Yeah. And you know, it's cool because I heard someone tell me the other day, they're like, you know, it's always the same people that make the rounds. You know, we've had a lot of those people on our podcast, like Oliver White or, just some different, more celebrities that people know. And they're like, you know, I always hear the same stories and all this. And it's like, okay, that's great feedback. And so we're trying to use this season as a way to get to people who may not be world famous, but are unbelievably talented or create great content. And you guys on your Instagram, Fly Waters, you guys have tagged us in several pictures, and it's a very high quality, and I absolutely love it. So thank you guys so much for sharing that. Which one of you guys was it, Joe or Tony, that started this, or was it a collaboration? What made you guys decide to start this whole Instagram page?
I think that was more of Joe pushing me to do it. And then it got started and we kind of dabbled in it for a few months, and it just, scheduling was more of a hassle then. And then Joe and I just both kind of talked about it, and Joe's like, man, we really need to knuckle down and do this. So I kind of got to give Joe credit on that one. I just kind of helped facilitate things a little bit.
Tony, are you more of an introverted type person and Joe is more extroverted, or is that not the case?
Probably the exact opposite. I am definitely the more outgoing of the two. I'm one of those people where I personally take the back seat a lot of times, and Joe's very good at what he does. So through trial and error for some other things that Joe and I have worked on in the past, Joe has really good talents in certain areas. And I basically told him when we were doing this, I'm like, bro, the handcuffs are off, man. Just do you and be yourself. And I've been here to help facilitate with any videography and photography work. And we just, I don't know, we kind of clicked, and it flows, man. We don't really try to make it happen. It just does.
Joe, what do you think it was that made you drive? What gave you that drive to push Tony over there? Hey, we really got to knuckle down. What do you think it was?
Well, it was one of those things where Tony and I have been fishing for many, many years, and we've been doing regular fishing for a long time. And then I got into fly fishing because it was a challenge. It was something different, something new. And we started doing it. And from there, it was like, let's show people a different aspect of fly fishing. Let's show them, how much fun it can be, but let's do it with the point of entertainment, laughter, seriousness, and everything else. And when Tony said the handcuffs are off, social media wise and everything else, I just pretty much ran with it and started interacting with so many different people, and it's really just blown up. And it's not so much us, it's the people out there that are really making this thing blow up, because they're, giving us the content like we do on Big Fish Friday. They're the ones that are catching the big fish and doing all the hard work, but we're just taking and sharing it with everybody in a different fashion.
What is your and I'll ask you, Tony, what is y'all's ultimate goal with this? Are you looking to make it into a business? Or are you, like, according to the mission statement that y'all sent over, you're looking to just bring awareness and how fun and awesome fly fishing can be? But I mean, what is y'all's ultimate goal? Is it really just to educate the public, or do you have like a business in mind, or like what is that ultimate goal?
Definitely from what I feel like our standpoint is, I would definitely say it's more of an educational thing for me, and I'm sure Joe as well. We've never really discussed the business aspect of things. I grew up fishing. I grew up on Lake Lanier and Lake Hartwell here in Georgia. So fishing just is something that's very near and dear to my heart. And I'm very involved with the younger generation, educating kids in all things that I can. So being able to give back to the future generations through a project like this is reward enough for me. So, and I know Joe shares the same sentiment, because we've had numerous conversations. So I really don't know that that this is a business aspect, more of we really just want to help educate and prolong, fly fishing as a sport, and, maybe kind of usher in that younger generation. I don't know, like trout waters in Georgia are just not what you normally get, except on farm raised fish, like places like the Sequoia and stuff. So if you take people and you educate them on better fish care and stream care and stuff like that, then we can possibly maybe have some of those, epic streams like you have out the White River, the Madison in Montana, and places that, consistently produce quality fish. So from my aspect of it is just, I'm really about the education and just doing it in a fun way so that today's generation can relate to it.
Yeah, I think you guys are onto something. I mean, when I talked to Uncle Cheech, he was on here. He's got a big outfit down in Utah and does a lot of business. He started out just making tying videos, and the thing just grew, and then said, hey, it wasn't a business to start out with, but it kind of evolved into that. But I think you're onto something, and it's a very pure approach to fly fishing and to what you're doing. Question for you. I know, like you said, there's a lot of great rivers to fly fish on all over the country. We had Thomas Fountain on here. Do you guys know who he is or not?
Yes.
Yeah, so
yes.
He was on here. He's from northern Georgia as well. What's going on in Georgia? Is the fly fishing scene just like blowing up, or is it just like something that's been around and no one really knew about it?
The fly fishing in Georgia, it's good. And if it wasn't for Department of Natural Resources and people that are involved like they are, we wouldn't have the fly fishing that we have here in the state of Georgia. The weather here is crazy. Like today, it's 99 degrees outside.
Wow.
Yeah, it's super hot. But, the weather changes and, fall's coming into play and everything else. But, at the end of the day, it's like Tony said, there's some places in the state of Georgia that have amazing waters. They're private waters, but they have great fishing. But then there's a lot of places that are public waters that have great fishing as well. So to answer your question, yes, Georgia does have good fishing, but it takes a big teamwork of a lot of people involved for the state of Georgia to have good fly fishing or trout fishing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, as far as like what I feel like is the fly fishing scene in Georgia, people around here, when you say fly fishing, they automatically just gravitate to trout fishing. Mm-hmm. But there are charters on Lake Lanier. Lake Lanier is obviously one of the most, world-renowned spot fisheries this side of the Mississippi. There are charters that do striper fishing with fly rods. I've got a buddy, Mr. Rob Jordan. He's a FLW pro. He also guides on Lanier, and he takes guys out. And this time of year, this coming up, the next few months, October into November, is actually some of the most phenomenal time to get on, big magnum spots with a fly rod on Clousers, big striper. And even if you get out on Hartwell where they have hybrids or Lake Russell, you can, as these freshwater lake fish are moving back into the creek arms and into these pockets chasing herring and bait fish, you can really have just a phenomenal day of fishing from a bass boat deck with a fly rod. I mean, and it's just some of the craziest stuff. I mean, imagine, catching a 20-pound striper on an 8-weight fly rod. It's insane.
Well, can I ask you a question about the striper? When we had Joseph Kane on the podcast, he's a guy down in Argentina, but in the summertime or this time of year, he's up in Cape Cod. He's guiding for stripers, and that's saltwater. So can you explain to our audience how the striper ended up in Georgia? Or do you not know? They were imported, I believe, to actually help control the gizzard shad population, because striper feed heavily on any kind of shad. Mm-hmm. And gizzard shad had just about diminished a lot of the largemouth population in some of these bigger lakes. So they figured out, that striper obviously run upriver into fresh water. So, hey, let's put these in the lakes. And they literally blew up. And now, you have Lake Allatoona, Lake Lanier, Lake Hartwell, Lake Russell that are just literally some of the cream of the crop when it comes to trophy striper fishing because of the forage that we have in these lakes. It's insane. There's actually a $10,000 bounty for the lake record for somebody to catch. I think it's got to be right at 50 pounds on rod and reel coming out of Lake Lanier for a striper. If you catch that fish, you bring it to Hammond's Fishing Center over in Cumming, and you get it weighed on their certified scales, you automatically get $10,000 right then and there. So striper are really kind of becoming a really sought after game fish in our area. And myself, again, with this Flywaters project, I'm encouraging people to, hey, you guys are out here running down riggers and top water plugs and stuff. Hey, let's get a little ballsy and let's try to get some on some flies, and have some real fun.
Yeah. Yeah. And one thing to add to that, in my eyes, the stripers are like the tarpon of freshwater. The fight they put on a fly rod or just a rod in general is amazing. But to add to what Tony was talking about water-wise, you've got the Etowah River where they're catching stripers, even the Chattahoochee where those striper will run up the river all the way up to North Georgia. Wow. And there's guys are catching this past year, as a matter of fact. These guys are catching nice, size striper up in North Georgia because they're running all the way up the Chattahoochee. So, yeah, it's an amazing fish, and it's even more amazing and rewarding in the fact that you catch one on a fly rod.
Now, do they have? I know in the saltwater they have certain times of year where they run. Is that the same thing like up in the rivers? Like here we have the salmon in the fall, the steelhead will come up in the spring. Do the striper have a certain time of year when they're making those runs up the Chattahoochee? And are they spawning or what are they doing exactly?
Twice a year, there's a spring run when the shad and the herring and stuff spawn. They obviously follow the bait in there. They obviously they like to relate to colder water temperatures. So in the springtime when the water's cool and coming in, the bait fish are in there and they follow the bait in. Excuse me. But in the fall is when they actually start spawning, and that's when you can really hammer on them. And it's a cool thing to see. A couple of years ago, some buddies and I, we filmed the Skeeter Challenge Series Championship on Lake Lanier, and after we got done filming, we decided to do some fun fishing, and we got back up in one of these creeks. And I literally could not count the number of striper that was back up in this one creek, just in a 100-yard stretch. It was insane, the amount of fish that were in there.
Wow. That's crazy. That's crazy. Now, when I think of North Georgia, I think of bass fishing. Do you guys do any bass fishing on the fly?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Now you're starting to speak my language.
Tell me more.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Joe.
Well, my first fish that I caught on a fly rod was a bass. It was at a farm pond that belonged to my uncle in Hartville, Georgia. I had just got into fly fishing and learning about it and everything else. And, I go into this fly shop, I get this fly rod. They said, hey, take these flies, do this. And I'm super excited. I get out there and, I'm casting and everything else. It's horrible casting, but it's going into the water. So, I'm excited. And then I hook up on this fish and, I'm all excited and amped up and everything. And, I've been fishing since I was a kid. I've caught huge largemouth bass. I've caught, catfish and everything else. And catching this little bass on a fly rod, I thought it was the greatest thing ever.
Wow.
The phone call that I got over this fish was insane. I mean, he sounded literally like a 6-year-old kid at Christmas. Opened up his first PlayStation. It was
So I dragged this thing over to the bank and Jeff is crazy because this bass is literally the size of my hand. I mean, it's not that big, but wow. I'm picking it up and I'm super excited. And that's the one thing that I love about this sport is the excitement. Mm-hmm. It's the smile on the faces. This is the excitement of the challenge of being successful, of catching a fish on a tiny little fly and the reward that comes from that. And, talking about this project that we have, that's what I enjoy. I enjoy these kids with the smiles on their face, the females with the smile on their face, the gentlemen with the smile on their face of catching these awesome fish with just a small fly and a fly rod. So, that's my passion when it comes to, fly fishing and everything else on, creeks and ponds and stuff is the excitement.
Right. And are you using dry flies, Joe, or are you more like streamers, or what are you fishing with, or what do you like to fish with?
The day I caught that fish was just on a white little streamer. I'm still learning, and that's the thing I love about the sport too, is I'm learning so much of how to fish with dry flies and different types of techniques. And that's the passion and enjoyment that I have, is the fact that you're able to do that.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And I've told the story before. I started fishing. I had a little combo pack with a spider in it, and those bumblebees and all that stuff, And my kids would go to sleep really early. I had a newborn at home, and we had a couple ponds, and I would catch bluegill on this fly rod that I won in a sales contest at work. And I'm like, this is the coolest thing I've ever experienced in my life. And to be honest with you, Tony, I probably called a couple of my friends like, hey, look, it's bluegills. This is the coolest thing, And it was a pretty life-changing experience for me. Now,
it really is.
Well, it's great to be back, Bill.
It is.
It was a long off season for us.
Yes, it was.
But we want to just take a minute and just thank our sponsors. This episode is sponsored by Deli Fresh Design.
Mm-hmm.
What do they do, Bill?
They repurpose old gear. You know,
Old
like
gear.
fly waiters and sails, correct?
Yeah, old sails. Like
Yeah.
I have one of their streamer wallets made out of old
Yep.
sails.
Or the koozies.
The beer koozies are amazing.
Or your sack.
My my sling pack.
Yeah.
I use the digital camo. My wife uses the
maroon.
maroon one. She
Yeah.
loves it. So it's a great sack. Speaking of sack, our other
Manscaped.
other sponsor, Manscaped Lawnmower 2.0. What they're doing is they're offering all of our listeners a discount, and so is Deli Fresh Design. Deli Fresh Design is offering a discount at checkout, 20% off when you type in RNP20 at checkout.
Bam.
Sackwise, the Lawnmower 2.0 is offering our listeners 20% off and free shipping when you type in remote no pressure at checkout.
You can't go wrong with either of those offers.
And like I said, for either one of those, for Deli Fresh Design or Manscaped, the first 5 orders of either one will receive one of our free buffs. And also, super thanks to that.
But you got to email us first, otherwise we're not going to know.
You got to email us and tell us that you ordered it. And but yeah, we thank you very much to our sponsors, Ross White over at Deli Fresh Design, and also Manscaped. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah.
Let's get back to the show. Tony, have you been fly fishing for a while? Did you introduce Joe to this, or vice versa? I mean, who introduced you guys to fly fishing? I know Joe, you gave a little explanation there. Went to the shop and stuff, but what made you guys decide to go into the fly part of things?
I'll let Tony go first on this one.
So I've been fly fishing since I think I bought my first fly rod when I was 10. My grandfather was real big on flea markets and thrift sales and stuff like that. And I just happened to run across one in a box, and I think I bought it for like $5. And I was big into fishing, and I just thought it was the coolest thing. I was, 10-year-old, like, man, I'm going to learn how to use this. And I did. It took me a long time. I'm self-taught, and I started out fishing in ponds and creeks and stuff like that. It was a lot of fun. And as I got older and we started getting into the John boat fishing and bass boat fishing, I'm like, hey, I'm really kind of picking this fly rod up. So, a couple of my buddies, we would go out and I would get when the bass are up shallow, we'd take frog, the little frog flies and catch largemouth when they're up shallow, either garden fry on post spawn or even pre-spawn, when they're up feeding and foraging, getting ready to bed. It was a lot of fun. And I just kind of started educating myself on different ways to do it. One of the things that Joe and I are going to hopefully bring to y'all soon, because this time of year is kind of getting to be the right time, is shoal bass fishing. Very similar to wet wading for trout or anything like that. But shoal bass are some of the most aggressive and fun species of bass to catch. And they're on the Bass Slam list for Georgia. And they're found in the Amicalola, the Etowah, and Chattahoochee and places like that. And they're really a pretty fish. And so you get the experience of, drifting either a nymph or a leech or, running streamers or even dry flies when they you can get them up on the surface early in the mornings and late in the evenings when the bugs are, kind of settle on the water. So it's something that we want to introduce people to because there's not a lot of people that do it. And, the standard rule of thumb is you don't tell people about your honey holes. But if you want to educate people, you kind of got to give a little bit of something to get a little bit of something,
Right.
So we're gonna do a little bit. We're gonna give a little taste of it, but no, that's still a little gem that we like to keep to ourselves sometimes.
We may get some hate mail over that, but that's okay. That's okay.
Right.
That's great. Now, do you guys have a website, or is it pretty much just the Instagram at this point, or where can people find your content other than Instagram?
Just Instagram right now. That's kind of what we've been talking about. We've had people ask us about YouTube, and I have done the YouTube thing on another endeavor, and it's been somewhat successful in certain areas, but it's kind of one of those things where Joe and I are just genuinely passionate about kind of just staying small right now and letting it kind of evolve on its own. So I wouldn't shut the door on it. Would you, Joe?
No, I wouldn't shut the door on it because my biggest thing that I want to push is the Big Fish Friday. And, you know, I with you having this conversation today, I encourage people that hear this to send us your pictures for Big Fish Friday, because I want people to be proud of what they caught. I don't care if it's a redfish, a tarpon, a trout, a bass, a brim. You know, I want to have everybody in the social media world see your success and see your smile on your face. So that's the reason why I love doing Big Fish Friday, because it allows different people to show their success. And that's something that's huge for me.
Yeah, that's really
Definitely,
cool. I really enjoy your Big Fish Friday. It's really sweet. And when we've talked to what if someone's big fish is really small, but they have a big smile on their face?
That's the number one winner right there, Jeff. If a little kid sends me a fish and says, "Hey, this is my Big Fish Friday," and he's got a smile that goes from ear to ear, I'll post that across any social media world.
Now, do you?
Because that
I'm sorry.
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead. Go ahead, please.
that's our ultimate goal, is to, like Tony talked about earlier, is to bring the passion out for so many people in this sport and enjoy it. It's hard. I mean, you can't just go pick up a fly rod and think that you're going to be a fly fisherman.
Right.
You're not.
Right.
I'm guilty of that. It takes
Very.
time. It takes time. It takes practice. It takes learning about, you know, how the rivers work, you know, what's the best fly to use, you know, what's the temperature, what's the sun doing, things like that. You know, there's so many variables that come into fly fishing. So if you can catch a nice little brown or a nice little rainbow and it's your first big fish, then yeah, that's awesome. That's what it's all about.
Now, do you guys have kids at all?
Yes. Yes, I have
Mhm.
3.
Yes, I have one.
What are their ages, Joe?
I have a 19-year-old, 16-year-old, and a 10-year-old.
And what about you, Tony?
I have a 3-year-old.
Ooh,
Ooh.
that's
Yeah.
that's a lot of work. We both, Joe and I are both like, oh. So have you introduced your children to fly fishing, or is it something like Joe? Is it something you took up after they gotten older, or what do they enjoy the outdoors?
My middle son, Lawson, he absolutely loves it.
Awesome.
And when he first started learning, it was the most frustrating thing in the world. And I'll give you another prime example too. We went out to Montana because we have family that lives out there.
Uh-huh.
And we fished the Madison and some other rivers out there. And, you know, I was catching fish. My brother-in-law wasn't catching fish. And he was just struggling to catch fish and never got one. Well, he gets back home and I'm bound and determined to put him on some fish just because I feel terrible he didn't get one in Montana.
Uh-huh.
So I take him to the Chattahoochee. And if he doesn't end up getting a red-eyed suckerfish,
Quite a big one, actually. One of the bigger ones I've seen.
blew my mind. I just could not believe it. But the smile that was on his face when I took that picture was worth it all.
Well, no, was that on a fly rod, Joe?
Yes, yes, sir,
awesome.
it was.
That's
It was on a fly rod, and the fish put up a heck of a fight, especially when I got that net close to him. But, you know, my son hung in there, and he got it in the net. And, of course, I'm more excited than he was, which is crazy.
That was another one of those good phone calls right there. That one was really fun.
Yeah, I called Tony, and I'm just like, you won't believe what happened. You know, I can't wait to tell this story because you know that, Jeff. Everybody loves to tell a fish story. So I was so excited to tell him this fish story because, you know, Tony and I, we're very competitive with each other, especially when it comes to fishing.
Uh-huh.
You know, we talk a lot of trash when we're on the river with each other.
Uh-huh.
And, you know, we both start 0-0 from the bank, and then we get on that river, and then we get off that bank, and we find out who's the winner, and then the trash talking starts.
We won't discuss the record as far as who's up in the win column on that one.
See, that's what I'm talking about. He's got to throw that little extra punch in there, you know. but that's what makes it fun. I mean, that's what I enjoy about it. Yeah. So my experience, you know, you were talking about Tony with his fly fishing. My experience, I had to tell the story real quick. I'm on the Toccoa River. I've just gotten a fly rod. I'm learning how to fly fish on the river. And I get out there, and I've got this little olive green woolly booger. And I'm using a streamer and everything else. Not catching anything. I'm getting a little frustrated. Well, there was a gentleman out there. His name is Kevin. He was fishing, and he says, hey, man, can I show you something? I was like, sure. So he takes and he gives me a different fly and ties it up, and he says, hey, let this thing start here and let it drift over and then slowly start stripping back. I said, okay. So, of course, I cast it out there. It goes into the current. I start stripping back. Well, I get a bite. Well, of course, I jump like a little kid, all excited, and I do it too quick, and I miss the hook. And he's like, that's okay. That's okay. Just do it again. I said, all right. So I pass back over there. It drifts into the water, and all of a sudden, bam, I hook up. Now, he's filming this the whole time, mind you, on his little GoPro. So I'm all excited. I'm like, oh, my goodness, I'm getting it in and everything else. Well, we get it to the net, and, I'm just overwhelmed with joy of the fact that I've caught this little rainbow trout. Well, I've got my fly rod under my arm, and not paying attention, my fly rod magically disappears because now I've got two hands on this fish and no hands on the fly rod. So as I'm trying to take a picture of it, it slips out of my hands, and I'm just overwhelmed, so excited. And then I realized that my fly rod is gone. And luckily I looked down. It's a little bit ways down the river. I had to reach down. It was cold. It was in early March, so the river was pretty cold. I had to reach down in there and grab it. Needless to say, I got it back, thank goodness. But lesson learned, hold on to rod when you try to get fish. So, but I will never forget that moment.
Yeah, that's an amazing moment. It really is. Tony, let me ask you a question. Before we started the podcast, Joe had mentioned that he's a firefighter. Is that right, Joe?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
Tony, are you a firefighter as well, or what do you do?
Former volunteer for a couple of years. And through life changes and moving, I had to turn in my gear because obviously when you're a volunteer firefighter, you have to volunteer within your municipal. So when I moved, the other place just didn't feel like home. And Joe can attest to this. When you're a firefighter, you're in a brotherhood. Mm-hmm. And we're all brothers. But when you find a group that you feel is like family, and these are guys that I grew up with, went to school with, graduated with. So it was kind of one of those things where I kind of lost the passion for it because I wasn't there next to where I felt like I was at home. So I'm not anymore. Now I work for a civil engineering firm, and I also help on my wife's family farm. We have 10 chicken houses, a bunch of cows, and we farm, cut hay, do all that. So I have the boring job.
Yippee-ki-yay.
Well,
me.
The reason I ask you that question, Tony, and also Joe, feel free to chime in on this, but do you ever feel like a lot of times with fly fishing that it's also a brotherhood? Do you think a lot of, because it's not like we're going out and buying a bass rig and throwing like these spoons or whatever. You know what I mean? There's thought behind it. It's different, and fly anglers are a little bit different. Do you feel like you're part of a brotherhood when you're fly fishing, Joe? Do you get that similar feeling as firefighting?
Yes, and I'll tell you why. Prime example, on the river one day, was fishing by myself. I looked down the river, and this guy was just struggling. I'm talking struggling. Casting and everything else, wasn't catching anything. I just moved down the river, started talking to him, got to know his name, everything else. I'm learning how to fly fish, I said, hey, why don't you try this fly? This has been really good for me here at this spot right here in this river. And the reason why I did that, Jeff, is because of the gentleman that helped me and taught me how to do it.
Sure. Because
I hope one day that gentleman that I've helped will help someone else down the road. So that's one thing I believe, teach each other as a family. Mm-hmm. We bust each other's chops, if they miss a fish, but we also give them a high five if they catch a fish. So that's my belief on that.
Tony, you were saying that you feel like fly fishing is a community similar you feel like you're in a brotherhood like with firefighting?
Oh, definitely. I've had many instances where I've been on the stream and, like Joe said, you see somebody, struggling, or, they're watching you catch fish and they're just not catching anything. So you do the right thing and you say, hey, what's going on? Introduce yourself and make small talk and stuff. But one of the instances in my mind that really sticks out, there was a dad and his daughter. I think she was 11, and this just happened this spring during the delayed harvest. And he was, I talked to him and he was like, man, I'm really trying to get my daughter on her first fish on her fly rod, and they're just not biting today. And I had literally just got done crushing it. And I'm like, let's give it one more shot. Go down there. I literally took the fly off of my line and gave it to him and said, here, try this, fish this run, do this. And I think within like 4 or 5 casts, like she had her first trout on her fly rod. And it was, seeing that and being able to experience that moment, it just, like for me, I can't wait to do that with my daughter.
That's awesome.
Praying that she wants to fish. She's only 3. So her interests are all over the board right now. But being able to see that moment between a father and his daughter and stuff, and that's what Fly Waters is about. That's the educational part. That's passing it on. So, it's definitely a brotherhood. I mean, it's just one of those things where once you get it, you understand why people fly fish.
Right.
It's not, and it doesn't, it takes more than just that first fish. Sometimes it takes the getting skunked and going on those, half-mile treks through the bushes to get to the places where you're literally, your trophy is an 8-inch native.
Right. Right.
So I think it's one of those things that once you get it, then you understand why it's a brotherhood.
Yeah.
So that's what I try to encourage the most.
Right. Well, guys, thank you very much for hanging out with me today. We'll be sure to include all of your links to your Fly Waters Instagram page. And also, if they go to Remote No Pressure, they'll see a few pictures from you guys as well. Keep up what you're doing, and we really appreciate all that you do. If someone wanted to get in contact with you guys, what would be the best way for them to do that?
They can
reach out.
Yeah, go ahead.
Reach out through social media, obviously on the page, DM us, especially if you would like to send us a picture for Big Fish Friday. Tony,
I would even go as far as if you have, like, if there's a question that somebody wants to ask. We've had people reach out to us about, what kind of fly rod should I get, or, hey, I'm getting into bass fishing for a fly rod. What do you recommend on flies? If you have any questions, and we're not experts, and I really don't feel like anybody really is, but we can share the knowledge and the experiences that we've had. So if anybody has questions, reach out to us through Fly Waters. And if it's something like a person-specific question, just say, hey, Joe, hey, Tony, and either one of us will be more than happy to help any way we can. I mean, that's what this is all about.
Well, thank you guys.
Yes, sir.
Thank you guys so much, and we'll put those links up. And thank you very much for hanging out with me today.
Thank you,
Jeff.
What a great episode, Bill.
Yeah.
You ever been to Georgia?
I have not.
You know that song "Call Me the Breeze"?
Yeah.
They call me the breeze. Yeah, that's
Is that Skinner?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I may go down to Georgia.
Yeah.
Well, John Mayer covered that song. And every time I say, man, let's go to Georgia. We got to go down there, son.
Heck yeah.
Yes, sir. Go to Georgia, get some peaches.
Mm-hmm.
Do things, go to Georgia. Something's going on down there.
Yeah. Road trip.
But it was a great episode. Special thanks to Joe and Tony for hanging out with us. Be sure to go online, check us out at remotenopressure.com. Check out our Instagram, our Facebook, all the socials. You know where to find us. Mm-hmm. If people don't know where to find us online by now,
we're doing something wrong.
Literally, you could just type in Remote No Pressure in Google and all of our stuff comes up.
All of it?
Not all of it. Not those.
That'd be a big search engine.
Not all of those things.
Whoa.
No, but seriously, Remote No Pressure, go to our Instagram, Facebook. subscribe to our mailing list. Be sure to leave us a review. All those great things.
Yeah.
But we really appreciate all of our sponsors. We also appreciate all you listeners, and it's great to be back for season 3. Bill, do you got anything else to say today? You've really gotten intimate. At the beginning of the show, you shared the fact that you're getting married.
I did.
You got anything else to share with us?
No, nothing that. I don't. No, I'm good. Do you? Do you have anything to share?
I don't. I really don't.
Do you have anything you want me to share?
You know what? I don't know if anyone's even listening at this point.
I don't think they are at this point either. They're like skimming ahead. Like, no. We're almost an hour in here. I think I'm done with this podcast.
I think I'm done with this podcast. Oh, by the way, that's enough. That's on the next podcast.
Oh, check us out next week.
Until next time, go fishing.